Today, I have in store for you a personal story from a Vietnam veteran, a Marine, who kind of had a chance encounter at DAV's National Convention 2 years ago in Tampa, Florida. And at our past convention in Orlando, my colleague Camille Cates met up with Marine Corps veteran John and his wife Barbara. Now, John tells us a little bit about his experience in Vietnam and the aftermath of the health consequences that he is still dealing with, everything from cancer to PTSD to a bad knee that was injured while he was dodging a mortar. The chance encounter with DAV benefits advocate Don Inns led to a host of claims, and it led John to become a DAV Life member. Now, again, this was recorded at our national convention, and anyone who's been to DAV's national convention definitely knows that it is hard to get a quiet room at times. So you're going to hear a little bit of the hustle and bustle of convention, but maybe that's enticing enough for you to reach out and maybe to come to our next one, which will be in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I just want to remind everyone that if you need help with a claim, you can always reach out to a DAV benefits advocate by going to DAV.org and by going to benefitsquestions.org. So let's not waste any more time, and let's listen to Camille talk to John and Barbara Hinners.
You're a Vietnam veteran, and did you see any combat?
I got there December the 19th, 1966, and I had been trained as a tank crewman. So I was expecting to be in tanks, plus they sent me to a tank battalion in Da Nang. So I was there, and they gave me a place to sleep, and I was there like 3 or 4 days, and I got a message to come up to the front office. I forget the guy's name, but he was from Dayton, Ohio. He said, how would you like to be a mailman? Mailman? He said, our mailman is due to go home in January. We need somebody to replace him. I said, sure. He said, well, you still have to go on patrols and things like that. And I said, that's fine. I'll be a mailman. So that's the last time I ever seen a tank. I mean, I seen them, but I never got in another one. Vietnam was several patrols, went on 3 different night ambushes. But my main concern was not falling asleep.
Why?
And getting left behind. I was scared to death. Here I am, what was I, 20 years old, 21, in a place I knew nothing about. And it was just, I never stopped being scared the whole time I was there. And a lot of people won't admit that, but I don't have a problem admitting it. And one day I got a call from a buddy who I went into the Marine Corps with. He had stepped on a landmine, and he called and said he was at Da Nang Hospital. So I went and got a Jeep and went down to see him. And I went in to see him. He was laying there smoking a cigarette, and his whole right side was bandaged up from where the shrapnel went on. And but he lived, and he was in good spirits.
Did you sustain any injuries during that time?
Well, my injury consisted of a mortar attack, and I was running to the bunker because I was scared to death, and I fell and messed up my knee, tore the cartilage in my knee, and it was right before I was due to come home. I came home. While I went to the hospital, they didn't take the cartilage out until after I got out of the military. Then they sent me to Veterans Hospital in Cincinnati, and they removed the cartilage.
What was DAV able to help you file a service-connected claim for?
The biggest claim was my heart. I had 3 heart attacks, and I have 3 stents, and they said it was the Agent Orange that caused it, and that's what Don went to fight. That's what my hearing was on, because I had a doctor's excuse, but when they came back and told me that I was denied, they never even looked at the doctor's excuse. They had the reasons that they said it was this 10%, but the doctor's excuse was not in the reasoning. So Don brought that up to the judge in our hearing, and I think that's swayed the whole thing into my favor. And then he also filed for my knee, PTSD. He got that increased. PTSD is a weird one.
I've heard a lot of Vietnam veterans especially just describe the anxiety that builds as you're there and you're kind of fighting for your life from firefight to firefight. And so can you describe a little bit of what that hypervigilance feels like to go through?
Well, it was really funny because we went out one night on a patrol, and I think there was 12 of us. And we'd been out for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and we're coming back to the compound, and somebody didn't get the word that we was coming back in, and they thought that we were VC. So they were shooting at us, and they didn't know that we were the good guys, and that was scary. You don't really think of it at the time, but somebody's trying to kill you. That doesn't go through your head until you're there. I mean, I can remember my first 2 or 3 nights, and you hear shooting and bombs going off and all this stuff. They're trying to kill us. You don't really realize that until you're there. You know, I didn't see combat, you know, like other guys did. I had a big job just taking care of the mail, you know. But, I mean, even when you go to town, you know, you don't know who's going to try to shoot you. It's just a weird, and I don't normally talk about Vietnam. I've never talked to my children or even her about any of it. It's just, you had a job to do and you went and done it. It's not like kids today, different breed today.
Do you think it's helpful to talk about it?
I can talk to other vets. My big help is my PTSD group. We meet every Tuesday, and they're a big help. When the snowbirds are here, there's 12 of us, but there's 8 of us, and we meet every Tuesday. But I haven't been to any of those meetings since I found out I had cancer back in October. So I've been fighting this. Wouldn't be anything of a fight if it wasn't for this person here. She's taken over everything.
Speaking of your wife, Barbara.
I mean, she's taken over all the house chores and just everything that I normally do.
But why do you do it, Barbara?
Because I love him. And kind of getting a little bit healthier right now.
She's not real good on cooking eggs.
I don't eat eggs, so I...
That's funny. So you're your spouse, but you're also helping caregive for your spouse that you love.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I want to have him around for a few more years.
Tell me a little bit about your story, how the two of you got together.
We were high school sweethearts.
I was and one of her sisters was in my class.
He asked her, he said, well, if I ask Barbie out, will she go? And my sister Judy goes, of course she will. Yeah, sure.
Aren't you glad she said yes for you?
Yeah, she did.
The cancer, do they think that was related to some of the Agent Orange as well?
Yeah. Because I had prostate cancer also. That was in 1996. I had my prostate removed, and they linked that to Agent Orange also. So my body's kind of a wreck.
It's important for our veterans to know that we have benefits advocates out there like John Hinners who are willing to fight with them and know their stuff. They know their stuff. Sounds like he really wanted to pitch in and went to bat for you.
Yes,
and
he did. He really did. He deserves a raise. Whoever's listening to this, get Don Hinners a raise.
All right, we're gonna push that all the way up to the top. Barbara, so let's talk a little bit more about how has this impacted you as a spouse in helping your husband navigate his health care or any other issues related to daily living besides the cooking?
Here's one little story that just happened last week. And I've got bruises all over me. Only because I bruise easy. But he has always changed the oil in his cars. And I said, no, you can't do that now. You know, you can't. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. So we get up on the ramps and the chocks behind the wheels and everything. And he said, Barbara, you're gonna have to get under here and help me. So I'm crawling in, and he says, oh no, you gotta slither in on your back. And I said, oh no. So anyway, we got it done. And I got out from underneath there and I said, we're never doing that again. You will go get your oil change someplace else. But we've always worked together on if something like our house needed painted or anything like that, we did it together. In fact, when we lived in Ohio, we actually, we wanted another room added on to our house because our family was growing. And we had them put the shell up and we did the rest. And it took us 13 months, but we got it done. And we've always been that way. It's always, if I need help with something, we do it together. If he needs something, we'll do it together. We've always been that way.
What a great team.
Well, it's nice too because I'm short, so I can get into places where he can't, and he's tall, so he can reach things that I can't. So it's a good balance between both of us.
After meeting Don Inns, you were able to work with him to receive your benefits with no requirement to join DAV. So, why did you decide to join, and why do you encourage other veterans to join DAV?
I joined the DAV just because I wanted another avenue for help. They said, well, you want to be a lifetime member? I said, well, sure, I don't have that much longer to live. So I joined and became a lifetime member, and it's a good organization. You don't never find anybody that's mean or nasty. It's just a good organization. I would encourage anyone, like her brother, I've tried to tell him to join, but he's a procrastinator and he's having heart trouble too. And I said, Mom will help you.
I want to ask a little bit more, if you don't mind, because I think it's important, especially the more I talk to your era Vietnam veterans. They're really hesitant to talk a lot about what happened. But the thing about our stories is when you share and somebody hears, a lot of times it gives them the courage to share too, and they need to, because some people have never shared. So I know you said you struggled with the PTSD. How does that translate to coming home? There's a sense of safety, but you carried what happened on the field home with you.
Well, you didn't really know. I didn't know that I had PTSD. Because I came home, we started a family, and went to work, and of course I have short fuse. I didn't know why, I didn't, and it all come down to the PTSD. And finally, I'm going to say 5 years ago, when they got it in my head that I had PTSD, Barb and I sat down and we put a letter together to all 3 kids, and I apologized to them for anything that I may have done in their growing up. But it wasn't me. It was the PTSD talking. That's not the real dad. And it's kind of hard because you can't get those years back. You can't go backward. But we sent a letter to all 3 kids and explained to them that the PTSD is still working on me. I still fight it. It's like, I still check the doors and stuff before I go to bed, and I get up in the middle of the night and I walk around and make sure the doors are okay. It's just all PTSD related. And the groups that I go to, talking to those guys, and they go through the same thing. I was amazed. And I go to this meeting and they're having the same problems I'm having. Sleep problems. And then finally I got her to go. We went ahead of couples, and that opened her eyes too, because she didn't realize.
I didn't.
And so we went to a couple, and what was that, 6 months long or more?
It was longer. We were together about a year, and just there was another couple there, and I just was so happy that another wife went through the same thing I did, because with our kids going through teenage years, which teenagers are always a challenge.
Right.
And I would not tell him some things because I knew he would go through the roof. And now, if I would have told him now that if they were teenagers, he would understand. But back then, everything was very tense for him, but I didn't know why, and he didn't either. And I was very happy to be in a group with other wives. It was really an eye-opener. And the leader that we had, she was great. She was awesome. And it was just us two couples. That's why I felt like I got individual help with things. And,
To be able to ask
Yeah.
somebody personalized questions.
Yeah.
and our kids now even say, Dad, you're a different person. You know, it's so nice. And even though they still live up north and we come, we're in Florida, we still get to see them 3 or 4 times a year. And after he did that letter, all 3 of them called him and said, Dad, we understand now. We really understand what you went through, but we didn't know because you didn't tell us.
So the letter and what you went through and, just getting help with your PTSD was really a time of healing for your family.
Right.
Yes.
And like you said, Mr. Hinners, we can't, go back, but we can move forward,
Mhm.
right? So,
Right, and that's what we did. We moved forward.
Yep.
And I know the PTSD is still there, and the ugliness comes in every once in a while, but he knows how now to calm himself down.
to manage
Yeah.
and
And unfortunately, I have a big mouth sometimes that I just start yelling back, but it kind of gets it out, and then we're done.
And sounds like you learned some tools and some things to help you along the way as a couple and as individuals and how to
Yes.
better manage
Yes.
when you would have those PTSD triggers or episodes.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And there are still little episodes that come up, but
sure.
When she doesn't do what I tell her.
yeah, right.
But
Right.
now you have people that you have that sense of common ground with that you can also reach out to and get,
Correct.
get help and encouragement.
Well, the meeting that he goes to now is all men, and when he was first diagnosed with the cancer, for their meeting, they came to our house.
Wow.
They were sitting on the floor and everything. It was
It
just,
was really special. They
It
all came
was.
over and
yeah, it was nice.
they wanted money, but
No, they didn't. They brought him some candy and,
I mean, it was really, it made me cry.
Yeah.
I cried at the top drop of a hat anyway. So, but it was special. They all came over and they stayed over an hour.
That's that closeness and
Yes.
that just serving together. Even though you weren't together, you come back home and there's a togetherness. And
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Mr. and Mrs. Hinners, thank you for your time. Thank you, sir, for your service. Thank you for serving him as well. It's all a family affair. And so thank you for your time and your story. And it's just been a pleasure.
Thanks, Camille, for that excellent report. It really shows just what veterans go through, not only while in combat and in service, but in the days, weeks, years, and decades that follow. A veteran's journey may take twists and turns and maybe have peaks and valleys, but no matter where you are on your journey, you never have to do it alone. So if you need help with a claim or any of the benefits that you've earned in service, please, again, reach out to DAV Benefits Advocate at DAV.org or go directly to benefitsquestions.org. I would sincerely appreciate it if you would subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a show. That's it for today, folks. I'm Matt Saintsing, and until next time.